Okay, this is the Kapex KS 120 by Festool, and let me show you what makes it awesome and what features it has that other miter saws don't. And now, like on all Festools, all these green things do something, and we'll go through them one at a time. First up, we got this little green knob right here. You pull it back and the saw comes up. And as you'd expect, when you want to lock it back in place, you come and push it back in. And now this one here is not actually green, but when you loosen it off, it allows your saw to slide back and forth. Now, one thing that really impresses me is how you find, set, and micro-adjust bevel angles. That all happens back here. To unlock it, you just pull this lever up, and you've got 3 settings. The first setting allows you to do 0 to 45 only on the left side of the saw. The second one allows you to go 45 degrees on either side of the saw. And the third one allows you to go up to 47 degrees on either side of the saw. It's very easy to find and set the angle you're looking for. And my favorite feature to do with finding and setting bevels is this deal right here. In addition to acting as an extra support for your slide to go on, you can also rotate it to micro adjust the bevel that you're trying to find. So you can move your saw more or less to where you want it to be, and then use this to micro adjust it. And then with your left hand, you can come and lock it in place, and you're set and ready to go. And now these two here won't surprise anybody. The top one unlocks the trigger, and the trigger allows you to turn the saw on and bring the saw down. To change the angle on the saw, you pull this up, push that button down, and you can slide back and forth. And then when you found the angle you're looking for, just push it back down. And now if you look down here, you'll see 3 lines. The middle one is to find the exact angle you're looking for, and on either side is a ½ degree. So if we wanted to find 20½ degrees, we would just move it over until the ½ degree was on the 20 line, and then lock it down and you're ready to go. And now here on the back side, you'll see 2 green buttons. The bottom one here turns your laser on and off, and the top one is a variable speed, which allows you to adjust the motor between 1400 RPMs all the way up to 3600 RPMs. And right here on the side of the saw, you'll see a chart that will tell you the RPMs you'll want for the different materials you'll be cutting. And the saw actually has 2 lasers that allows you to see exactly where you're cutting on either side of the blade. And should you ever find you need to adjust the lasers, you can use this Allen key right here. And right here, you've got left and right laser fine adjustments. Now your auxiliary fences can easily slide in and out by flipping up these green levers here, sliding it wherever you want, and locking it back in place. And if you want to take the fence right off, you just have to screw this screw down far enough that it doesn't hit this little spot right here, which prevents it from coming off. To lock down and hold lumber in place, you've got this unit here. There's this little hole on either side of the saw. Slide it down in place, spin it around, pull this lever up, push this piece down, lock it in place, and then your lumber's not going anywhere. Now the Kapex comes with a 10-inch blade, which allows you to cut most lumber up to around 3¼ inches thick. But let's say you're cutting something that's higher than that washer and you can't get through it. Then you're going to pull the saw out. You're going to use this green lever right here to lower down this little catch, and then the saw will slide back into it and lock in place. And what that does is open up a back side to the blade here that can cut much higher than just this washer right here. This little piece here, which helps with dust collection, can retract up, and now you've got that entire space here to cut, which gives you a whole bunch more cut height from the bottom of that washer to the top of here. And so you see, here's a board that I normally wouldn't have been able to cut through, but now on the back side, I can cut all the way down and cut through. And yes, I could have just cut the board like this, but if you're doing a compound miter on a tall piece of crown molding, you need that extra space at the back to be able to make that cut. Now this little green lever back here that flops back and forth is something that I use a lot. And the way that Festool has done it is the best I've ever seen. And what this does is when you flip it down in place like that, it allows you to set a certain depth that your saw won't go past. And then you can make a bunch of cuts at a repeatable depth. And to adjust the height, you just turn that knob, and you can make micro adjustments up or down to the exact depth you need. And when you're all done with those cuts, just flip it back in place. Now, something I've always found frustrating on these saws is changing the blades. And what Festool's come up with for changing blades is the best I've ever seen. All you gotta do is come over here, lock that in place, and then your blade is locked, and with the Allen key that sits in the back of the saw, you loosen off the nut, pull off the washer, lift up the guard, pull out the blade, and it's that easy. And now the last thing to show you is this thing. It looks like the ghost finder from the Ghostbuster movie. And what it is an angle finder unit. So if you've got an inside corner you're trying to figure out the angle on, you come and spread it out until it's touching both sides, and you'll tighten it down. And then you'll come and set it on your saw with one side against the back fence, and then you can move the saw over until your laser line lines up with that center line. And then you know you've got the exact angle for your miter cut. And then if you need to find an outside angle, all you do is extend these 2 pieces here, and you use that to find the angle on the outside of whatever corner you're trying to cut. And then you use that green thing to lock it in place. Now you've found the angle that you need, and you can retract both of these and then go use it on the saw like you did for the inside cut. Now, I guess I forgot to mention, there is a dust port off the back here, but we probably all expected that from Festool. So there's the Kapex 120, another incredibly well-engineered tool by Festool, full of features that make it easy to use, easy to adjust, and extremely precise.